All right, welcome to another Monday Drive. Let's talk about some church production stuff. I just got out of a neat meeting that was a follow-up to something that happened Sunday after service, and it has to do with our prison ministry that we partner with. And so our church has been partnering with the local women's prison, sending DVDs into that environment. And I have been involved in prison ministry off and on for over 20 years. Admittedly more off than on, but it really is a neat thing to be a part of. Our church that I'm a part of right now currently sends DVDs to the church, and the women are gathering every Sunday to watch those DVDs. We produce them specially where we trim down our service to under 52 minutes because they only have 55 minutes for their service, so we trim it down so they don't have to fast forward and not sure if they're going to miss any part of the message. I cut out so that we have just the message portion. So we get all of the message, so all of the meat that we're looking for, and then we fit as many worship songs as possible. If there's some transition part or housekeeping part that might be relevant, which is extremely rare, but if there was something relevant in there, we would include it. But we cut out everything such as announcements, housekeeping, all of those elements, offering. Not because those aren't important, but in the environment, the women would rather, and I would agree, that they would rather have another song of worship than deal with something like tithes and offering. Tithes and offering is important. What can you do practically if you're an inmate at a jail or a prison? Practically not a whole lot. So, and the mechanism and what that would look like would be very different. So just something to think about there. Why am I talking about that? Because here's a surprising fact that I learned. Apparently we are the only church in our town, or at least larger churches that produce their services like full production. We're the only church that's willing to do a DVD. All the other churches have stopped doing DVDs. I think it's a product of the fact that we've got millennials that were raised off the internet and think, well, can't you just stream anything and everything or put it on a thumb drive? And what they don't understand is that in prison, things are very different. The women aren't allowed to access the internet whatsoever. So having the internet available in a publicly accessible area like a chapel just is a non-starter in most environments. And even something like bringing a thumb drive that you play off digitally is often a non-starter in most environments. Not only that, the logistics get really quirky because first of all, you don't want to be having a thumb drive that you shuttle back and forth every week. And how you label and keep track of those and you don't want to give them a thumb drive every week with a 1 week's message. That seems pretty wasteful. But they need to archive them because what will happen is they will invariably end up behind what's happening in the live services. Probably the biggest and most common reason for that is because they get locked down. So they're supposed to have church, something happens in the prison, and now all of a sudden church is canceled. And so what they do when they've got a DVD is they just hold on to that disc and play that later on. And so they'll get weeks and weeks behind you. I think this church, the prison is currently about a month-ish behind us right now. But that allows them to just do that. And occasionally I'll even put together special DVDs for stuff for them, such as if we have a worship night, I'll throw together a worship night compilation that's, again, under 52 minutes, and I'll send that to them as kind of like a bonus material, and then leave that up at the chaplain's discretion on if they want to use that also in lieu, or we have a volunteer that brings the DVDs periodically, like once a month, to the prison. So let's just say that got caught up, or they had a DVD that didn't work or whatever. They've got some extras that they can always throw something in the DVD player. Honestly, what does it take me? It takes me about 10 extra minutes on any given weekend to put together a special edit for these women. And when you've got a room packed full of women that are wanting to worship and wanting to hear the word, what's 10 minutes of my time to make what could be, even if it changes one life in that prison, it's worth it, right? 10 minutes of my time. But the reality is we're packing up the room with, like, I think it's 60 ladies was in there last night. And so the impact can be substantial. So here's the thought. If your church isn't already helping out with the local prison or jail, and this kind of pulls on one of your heartstrings, maybe the Holy Spirit is convicting you of this, or it's just stirring something up inside of you, may I encourage you to pray about it, and then go talk to your church leadership about it. Talk to a pastor, have the worship pastor or the senior pastor or the benevolence pastor or the head deacon or whatever the organizational structure is in your church, reach out to the prison. I'm willing to bet if you called up your local jail or your local prison and said, hey, listen, we want to make our services available via DVD for your ladies. What's the time constraints? What would you like from us? How can we get it to you? But we'll make it to you available by DVD if you would hold a service for it. I'm willing to bet almost every jail or prison would be longing for, willing to, and wanting that. Like I said, I was absolutely shocked when I heard that we were the only large church that would make a DVD available. That's shocking and sad. What an opportunity that's being missed. And so, something for you to consider. Just a thought for the week of ways that we can extend what we're doing beyond the four walls of our church. That will take a little bit of technical sacrifice on your end, of time, but the impact can be huge. Imagine the impact we can have if we are reaching these people while they're still incarcerated before they get out, and how these things might help reduce recidivism, both for our local community, but just change lives in general would be huge. One other thing that I learned by going into this prison, years ago I went in live. We did live worship and live messages once a month. We're part of a rotating team that did it. But in this case, they're watching the DVD. I learned about how their TV is set up. And right now we put all the lyrics on the bottom half of the screen like so many churches do. And what I learned in this setup is it would be a huge benefit to move it to the top. What's that going to take? Less than a couple seconds of my time to apply a macro within Premiere to basically reposition where the lyrics are getting burned onto the DVD. Like super simple thing for me that I learned by being in the room that's going to be significantly impactful to that environment, because now you don't have to be in the first few rows to see the lyrics or kind of dodge your head left and right to kind of read the words, but they'll be on the top of the screen where everybody can see them. And so it's just been such a blessing to me to be a part of those environments. So let me encourage you to consider it, think about it, pray about it. If you've got questions, put those down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding prison ministry, both from a technical side or a worship side, and encourage you to consider this as being another outreach of your church and the tech ministry. All right, God bless you this week.